Alright, so today I'm going to be reviewing season 1 of The Mandalorian. And just to kind of preface this review, so the first part is going to be spoiler free, so if you haven't seen the show, that's completely okay. And then the second portion is going to be spoiler filled, so I'll give a very clear warning before I start talking about any spoilers. So just to kind of jump right in, I had some kind of mixed feelings about the show, but I'm going to start with talking about the things that I liked about the show. So the main thing that I think is unequivocally the best thing about The Mandalorian would have to be Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda was so freaking cute. Like I loved Baby Yoda. He was just there's no question about it. Like even the most stone-hearted person, tough guy out there, he's got to admit that Baby Yoda is adorable. Like Baby Yoda goes up there with like cutest characters ever created, right up there with Baby Groot. Baby Yoda was amazing, and if you didn't like Baby Yoda, like there's the door. You can go ahead and walk out that door because Baby Yoda was awesome. So without question, that was the best part of The Mandalorian was Baby Yoda. Another thing that I really enjoyed about the show was just kind of visually how it looked. It was right up there with kind of the rest of the content that Disney puts out there, with like Avengers and like the other Star Wars movies and just everything, Frozen, everything that they put out looks really cool. The Mandalorian was no different. Visually, it was stunning. It was top notch. Like Disney is one of the best when it comes to visual effects. All right, and so just to jump into kind of some of the things I didn't really like about the show. So the show, it's called The Mandalorian. So it's about this guy, and the whole premise is, he's this guy, he's this bounty hunter guy, but he's a part of these group of people called the Mandalorians. And one of the things about the Mandalorians is they can't take off their suit, their armor, like including the mask. You've seen the all the promos and everything. So the guy's wearing a mask the whole show. And that's fine. That's totally fine. He can't take off his mask. That's cool. But the problem with that is that when he's wearing the mask the whole time, you don't get a lot in the way of facial expressions and emotions. And that's okay. And so you would think that because you don't get very much in the way of facial expressions, that you'd make up for that kind of with lots of dialogue where you can kind of read on some of the emotions there. But the show doesn't really have that. There are a lot of scenes with just silence where like the Mandalorian is like someone asks him a question and he just doesn't do anything. He doesn't say anything. And you can't tell what he's thinking on his face because he's wearing this mask, and it's just like it just makes for some very, very, in my opinion, kind of like awkward scenes that didn't really go go in my opinion. Overall, with the show, it didn't do a lot for me in terms of dialogue. There wasn't a lot of back and forths that I really enjoyed. It definitely picked up towards the second half of the show or the second half of the season, but even then, it still wasn't great. But for the first half of the season, like the dialogue, it wasn't even that it was bad dialogue. It just wasn't there. Like people weren't talking. And then another thing that I wasn't super crazy about, and maybe this is just a personal preference, but some of the episodes felt kind of like filler-y, like they didn't really have anything to do with like kind of the overarching story. They were just kind of shove them in their episodes, and that's fine. That some people they enjoy that. They enjoy just the one and you're done episodes where you're just maybe getting to know the characters a little bit. But I didn't really feel like we even got to know the characters very well in those episodes. They were just kind of there, like no change happened whatsoever. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. There is an overarching story in the show. I just felt like a decent amount of episodes didn't have anything to do with that overarching story. But overall, I would say that like I did enjoy the show, and like I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan. Like I've seen all the movies multiple times. I do really enjoy Star Wars, and I really really wanted to like this show, and I didn't dislike it, but there were a lot of things that I really feel could have been done better. And I 100% plan on watching season two. I hope that they kind of fix some of the things that I felt like they didn't do well. But if I had to give the show kind of a ranking from like 1 to 10, I'd give it a solid 5 out of 10, which like might sound bad, but like 5 out of 10, I just view that as like kind of average. It was just kind of an average show for me. It wasn't like something I could see myself really rewatching, except for the scenes with Baby Yoda. Those were awesome. But other than that, it was just a very average show for me. But now to get to some of the spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show, stop here. Don't watch anymore. I'm gonna talk about the ending and whatnot. So one of the biggest things that I felt like was a letdown about the show was when he finally took his mask off. Like the whole show, they're making a huge deal about him not being able to take his mask off, and then they kind of did it, and he's he's a little sweaty, he's some cuts on his face, like nothing really happened. Like it was there was no like like nothing. He just took his mask off. Like it was kind of cool. Oh, he's a droid, so a droid can take off the mask because he's not technically a person. So yeah, I guess that was kind of cool, but it for me it felt very anticlimactic. Like they were building up to something this whole show, and then it just nothing really came of it. Another thing that like I thought is just so many of the characters, I thought they were just like a little bit boring. But one of the characters that I thought was actually pretty funny was that droid. That droid that like started out as like a battle droid, and then they like turned him into like a nanny droid, but he still did like battle droidy things. Like that droid was really funny. Like some of the funniest lines of the show was like from that droid. Um, but then they killed him. They killed him twice. I was so mad. Like they killed him in the first episode, and that was fine. He was funny though. He was funny in the first episode, and then they brought him back. I'm like, oh, cool, he's back. And then they killed him again. I was so mad. He was like, he was so funny. Him and Baby Yoda, they were funny. Like Baby Yoda's a lot cooler, but like, so I don't. Maybe they'll bring him back again. I don't know. But overall, I would have to say I did enjoy the show. It just I guess I kind of maybe I just had too high of expectations going into it, but like it was fine. It was a fine show, but I'm hoping that season two. I'm sure they're gonna do a season two. I think it was definitely successful enough where they're gonna do a season two. I hope they do. I hope it's a little better. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you don't like anything that I said or you have any criticisms or comments, please leave a comment below. And have a great day.